right, so let's go ahead and get started with our yoga flow class in an easy seated position. So we're gonna tune into the breath, sitting up nice and tall. So you can sit crisscross, maybe you sit up on top of the feet, however you're most comfortable in a seated position. You could also have a prop like a blanket or a pillow underneath the hips to elevate the hips and help you sit up nice and tall. So once we're settled in, resting our hands in the lap, we'll take the eyes closed or a soft gaze. And sealing off the lips, we'll begin to breathe in and out of the nose. Noticing the breath. Beginning to lengthen each inhale and each exhale. Filling up the lungs, sending that inhale down into the belly, and exhaling, emptying out the lungs completely. Noticing the chest rise and fall with the breath. Noticing the rib cage expand on the inhales. Noticing if we're clenching the jaw, we can go ahead and soften and relax. And allowing neck and shoulders to soften and relax down. We're going to do a couple of cleansing breaths. So on an inhale, we're going to breathe in through the nose. And on an exhale, we're going to sigh out the mouth, maybe even audibly sighing on the exhale. So we're going to do 3 cleansing breaths that way. Let's go ahead and finish our exhale here. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling, sighing it out. So 2 more like that. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling. Good. 1 more. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling. Perfect. We'll blink open the eyes. Make our way to a tabletop position, taking hands and knees to the floor. So with the hands down, we want the wrists underneath the shoulders, spreading the fingertips wide, with the knees down, aligning underneath the hips. And we'll flow through some cat-cow. So on an inhale, belly drops, stretching across the chest, gazing up. On an exhale, tucking tailbone under, drawing chin towards the chest. So inhaling for cow and exhaling for cat. Flexion and extension of the spine. So you can make this movement as big or as small as you'd like. You can move all the way up and down the spine. Or maybe it feels good to isolate perhaps just the thoracic spine. But that is up to you here. Let's do a couple more cat-cow. And after our next exhale, we'll come back to neutral spine and we're going to flow through our spinal balance. So we're inhaling to reach opposite arm and leg, exhale to release, and then inhale reaching long for the other side. So inhale to lift and reach, exhale, release, alternating sides. And if you needed to, you could do just the arms or just the legs here. Good, let's do 1 more on each side. And then we're gonna press back to child's pose. So we keep the feet together. The knees may come wide, maybe as wide as the mat. And then we'll rest the forehead to the floor, reaching those arms out long in front. Taking a few breaths in child's pose. Let's take one more breath. And at the end of that exhale, we'll rise back up to a tabletop. So we're gonna go through a little flow here. So from tabletop, we'll walk the hands forward about a hand's length. So once our hands are set up, we shift the hips forward so that we have a nice straight line with the body. So kneeling plank, we're gonna take an inhale. We're kind of shifting forward. As we exhale, we're gonna lower all the way down as slow as we can go, hugging elbows to the sides until our belly is on the floor, tops of the feet on the floor. And then for our inhale, we're lifting up for a baby cobra. So keeping the elbows bent, peeling chest away from the floor. On an exhale, we release down, pressing through that kneeling plank and all the way back to child's pose. We're back at the top, so inhaling, shift forward, kneeling plank. Exhaling, lowering through chaturanga. Tops of the feet on the floor, we inhale for baby cobra. Exhale, release. Strong core as we press back through that kneeling plank to child's pose. So we'll go through a few more times with the breath. Inhale, kneeling plank. Exhale, lower through chaturanga. Inhaling, cobra. Exhaling, child's pose. Let's go through one last time. Meeting up in child's pose. Take a couple breaths. And if at any point in the practice you get lost or you feel like you need to catch your breath, reconnect, child's pose is a good place to go to take a time out. So you're always welcome to go to child's pose. It's always there when you need it, especially in a flow class. So from here, we're gonna come up to a downward facing dog. So we'll start in tabletop, walk those hands forward a little bit, tucking the toes under and sending the hips up high, downward facing dog. Now when we're here, we can take a moment to kind of pedal out the heels, bending deep into one knee, pressing opposite heel to the floor. And then eventually we'll send both heels down to the floor, lifting the hips a little bit higher. Taking an inhale, and then we're gonna exhale to walk the feet forward up to the hands. Coming to forward fold at the top of our mat. So we have a little bit of space between the feet. Knees are soft. On an inhale, we're gonna swoop the arms up overhead. Press the palms together and then open up the hands to face forward, mountain pose, Tadasana. So again, feet are about hips width distance apart. We always want to keep a little tiny bend in the knees. Nice strong core, shoulders down and back, palms facing forward. So from here, we're gonna, let's go ahead and do a couple breaths. We'll inhale and reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, we'll press the hands together. Drawing those hands down through heart center, let's go ahead and take it to a forward fold. And then on an inhale, we're gonna sweep the arms up overhead, nice long spine as we come up. And then exhale, bring the hands down, open up to Tadasana. We'll do a couple more breaths like that. So inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale to a forward fold, hinging from the hips. Inhale, reach all the way up, press the hands together. Exhale, Tadasana. We'll do one more like that. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. And exhale, open up those palms to face forward. Good, we're gonna reach one arm up and over for a lateral flexion. So opening up the side body as we have that nice reach overhead. Taking a breath. Good, coming through center, we'll do that other side. Big reach, big stretch. And exhaling through center, chest expansion. So hands come behind us, palms facing in, straightening into the arms. If you're able to, you could clasp the hands and then straighten into those arms. Perfect. We'll go ahead and release. We're going to go through sun salutations. So this can move kind of fast. If you're unfamiliar with sun salutations, you may want to watch one time through and then jump in because we'll go through a few rounds. So starting at the top of the mat in mountain pose, palms facing forward, standing up nice and tall. We inhale to reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, hinging from the hips, swan dive to a forward fold. We'll step the right foot back, and we could drop that back knee for kneeling lunge. Inhale to reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands down to frame that front foot, stepping back to child's pose. Inhaling, shifting forward, kneeling plank. Exhaling, lowering through chaturanga. Tops of the feet on the mat, we inhale for cobra. Exhale, strong core press back to child's pose. Right foot steps forward, coming back to that kneeling lunge. We have the option to reach overhead on our inhale. Exhale, hands down to frame that front foot. Lift up off the back knee. Step forward to forward fold. Inhaling, sweeping those arms up overhead. Pressing hands together. Exhaling, drawing those hands down back to Tadasana. So we'll go through that again. This is a good time to jump in. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. This time the left foot steps back, either that kneeling lunge, or we can keep the back knee lifted for a lunge. Option to reach the arms up overhead on our inhale. Exhale, hands down to frame that front foot. We can press back to child's pose or downward facing dog. Inhaling, shifting forward, plank or kneeling plank. Exhaling, lowering through chaturanga. Tops of the feet on the floor, we inhale for cobra. Exhale, we press back through child's pose or downward facing dog. Left foot steps forward to our kneeling lunge or lunge. Optional reach on our inhale. Exhale, hands down to frame that front foot, stepping forward, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive, reach those arms up overhead, and exhale to Tadasana, mountain pose. All right, great job, guys. So we're gonna go through some different flows. So just do your best, especially if this is new for you. We'll go through some different warrior poses, and then we'll have a floor sequence as well, eventually winding down to our cool down and our Shavasana. So we should be feeling nice and warmed up here at this point. Let's go ahead and start at the top of our mat in mountain pose. We're gonna flow down to downward facing dog. So we'll inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Exhaling, hinging from the hips to a forward fold. We'll step the right foot back, either that kneeling lunge or lunge. And then we'll step the other foot back, going right to down dog or child's pose if you need it here. So taking a couple breaths to settle in. And then on inhale, we're gonna lift our right leg up behind us. As we exhale, we're gonna drive that right knee forward to the chest as we shift forward, and we wanna step that foot up as far as we can. It's okay if you don't get it there right away. You can kind of use your hand to guide that leg up. We're coming up for warrior one. So our back foot swivels flat. On an inhale, we'll reach those arms up overhead. Front knee is bent, and then if it doesn't feel okay for this knee or for any reason to have that foot flat, you could come up on the ball of the foot, more like a lunge if you needed to for your warrior one. We're squaring the hips towards the front of the mat. Arms are reaching up nice and strong, but keeping the shoulders relaxed down. This front knee should be pointing over the front toes. Taking an inhale in warrior one. Exhaling, we'll open up to warrior two. So arms stretch long, hips square towards the long edge of the mat. We're gazing over our front fingertips. We may be able to bend a little more into this front knee. Good, going to reverse warrior. So front palm flips up, reaching those front fingertips towards the sky. So we could gently rest this back hand on the back leg, just being light, or we could wrap that arm behind the back. Still bending deep into this front knee, stretching up, opening up the side body. Take an inhale here, exhaling side angle. So right arm comes to the right thigh, left arm reaches up. We're peeling open this top shoulder. There's the option to come down, taking that right hand down to the inside of the right foot, but we don't need to be there today. So with a strong core, we're going to inhale, rise up to warrior two. Exhaling, cartwheeling the hands down to frame the front foot, coming up on the ball of the back foot. We're stepping back to a plank and maybe going through a flow. So you could do this from the knees or from the toes. Meeting up in child's pose or downward facing dog. Take a breath here, and we're going to do that sequence on the other side. So on your next inhale, left leg lifts up. As we exhale, driving that left knee to the chest, stepping that foot forward. As you're ready, rising up for warrior one. Back foot swivels flat, reaching arms up, front knee is bent. Remember, you have the option to be on the ball of that back foot if it doesn't feel right to have your foot flat. Take an inhale, warrior one. Exhale, open up, warrior two. Reverse warrior, left palm flips up, left fingertips reach up towards the sky. Back hand can rest on the back leg or wrap behind the back. Reaching those fingertips towards the sky. Taking an inhale here, exhaling to side angle, left forearm, left thigh, or left hand to the inside of the left foot. Peeling open the top shoulder. Inhaling up through warrior two, exhaling, cartwheeling the hands down. Optional flow, you could go just straight back to child's pose or downward facing dog. Meeting up in downward facing dog, we're going to go through that sequence 2 more times, a little bit faster. So on an inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, step it forward. On an inhale, rising up, warrior one. Exhaling, warrior two. Reverse warrior, reaching right fingertips up. Exhaling, side angle. Inhaling, warrior two. Exhaling, cartwheeling the hands down, optional flow. Meeting up in downward facing dog. Take a breath. On our next inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, step it through. Rising up, warrior one, inhale. Exhale, warrior two. Reverse warrior. Exhaling to side angle. Inhaling, warrior two. Exhaling, cartwheel the hands down. Optional flow. So we're going to go through one more time, but you always have the choice to just breathe in child's pose. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, step through, warrior one. Exhaling to warrior two. Flipping that front palm, reverse warrior. Exhaling, side angle. Inhaling, warrior two. Exhaling, cartwheeling the hands down, optional flow. Inhaling to lift the left leg. Exhaling, step it through. Warrior one. Inhale. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, side angle. Inhaling, warrior two. Exhaling, cartwheel the hands down. Last chance to flow. And we'll meet up in a downward facing dog or child's pose. All right, take a breath. Nice job. So we're going to go through a little sequence. So let's meet up in downward facing dog. We'll lift the right leg on an inhale. We're stepping it through. Once you're in that lunge, let's drop the back knee. So kneeling lunge. You could take hands up to that front thigh, or if you wanted to keep the fingertips down, Great place for blocks. Just settling in, slowing down, taking a few breaths. And then we're going to shift back to half split. So we're straightening that front leg, flexing the foot, pulling the toes towards the shin, lowering the chest towards that shin in front. Shifting back forward, going to lizard. So once you're back in that kneeling lunge, both hands come to the inside of that right foot. You can stay up tall on the hands, maybe come down to the forearms. Let the head, neck, and shoulders relax. So coming up onto the hands, if we're not there already, we're going to keep the left hand planted down and we're going to reach our right arm up, twisting open towards that front leg. Exhaling, we'll release that arm to frame the front foot. We're going to step back and press back to child's pose or downward facing dog. Take a breath. On our next inhale, we'll rise up. We're stepping the other foot forward, coming to that kneeling lunge. We can keep our hands down on the floor or bring them up to that top leg. We'll take the hands down to the floor to frame that front foot, straightening out the front leg, flexing the toes towards the shin, keeping a slight bend in the knee, and lowering the chest down towards that thigh. We're shifting back forward, taking that deep bend back into that front leg. Both hands come to the inside of the left foot. You can stay up tall in the hands or drop down to the forearms, relaxing the upper body. If you're on the forearms, you'll want to come up onto the hands. We're keeping the right hand down, peeling open that left arm, reaching the left fingertips up, opening our chest up towards that front thigh. Taking a breath here in our twist. And then we'll gently release that arm down to frame the front foot. Draw that leg in, and we're just making our way onto the back. We'll begin by hugging knees into the chest. So we'll keep the right leg in. We'll let the left leg extend long. Open up the right arm to the side. Keep your right shoulder on the floor as you take your right leg across the body, spinal twist. Option to turn and look over the right fingertips. We'll gently unwind. Before going to the other side, we're going to press up through hip bridge. So planting the feet down, hips width distance apart, arms down by the sides. We'll lift those hips up and hold our hip bridge as we breathe easy. And then we'll gently release those hips down. Right leg extends long, left knee hugging into the chest. We'll open up the left arm to the side, keeping that left shoulder down, taking the leg across the body, spinal twist. Option to turn and look over the left fingertips. We'll gently unwind and hug the knees into the chest. Feel free to take any last movements or any poses that you feel like you need before we go into our final relaxation. And then as you're ready, extending the legs long, resting them on the floor, arms down by the sides, taking the shoulder blades underneath us and the eyes closed. Allowing the breath to flow naturally, being still in the body and still in the mind in Shavasana. We'll bring our awareness back to the breath, wiggling the fingers and toes gently, allowing the head to fall from side to side. And then taking our time to roll over onto one side, cradling the head and the arm. And using the strength of the arms to press up to an easy seated position. You can either rest your hands in the lap or press your hands together at Anjali Mudra, heart center. The light that shines in me honors the light that shines in you. Namaste.